You know, and this is an excellent segue, and this is actually something that in this whole vein of innovation, and I just met a young man, so it was neat. I was in the office yesterday, and we've got an associate who is going to Harvard in the fall,
Ooh,
and so
Harvard.
he's working with us for the summer, and he's working alongside one of our technical directors, Michael, and basically they're doing an honest to goodness project, and so he's getting into software development even before going off to university. And so I know my client is big into using interns. Well, let me rephrase that. They're big into hiring interns from the local universities for supplementing and augmenting staff, and that's an innovative way of approaching some of the potential staffing challenges. You bring them in as an intern, especially during the summer between high school graduation and starting the university, and then they get a sense of what this is going to be like. Can we get young, bright thinkers to start engaging now before they get tainted by the jadedness of going to university and figuring out that.
Absolutely. No, I love that. We have a component to Next Up Solution called acceleration, and that's exactly the model. We hire these interns and they're university students generally, and they code and they create products for people. In fact, I'm working with one of them. He's from Brazil. He's helping me create a Kanban game, and he's learning how to like talk to people and stuff too, and how to interact. You need to look at the stuff in Jira, sir. Just those little things that they don't teach you in school. I'm like, oh, that's a thing. Yeah. So it's great. I totally agree. Thinking outside the box.
Because my personal flaw is tactical execution, I want to share 2 tips for interns.
What?
Great, 2 tips.
I mean, I love high level conversation, but for me, I always love to do things tactically. Number 1, it's illegal in the United States to hire an intern and make them work for free if they do any work that contributes to your business. It's absolutely illegal if they do anything but getting coffee if you don't pay them.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it's
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know
labor is
it was
labor, and
illegal.
there
I'm
needs to be an
glad
equal
though.
exchange of value.
It's work. Yeah. But they can get coffee for you for free.
They can do
That
non-contributory
would be nice.
work as long as they're learning about their skill set.
Oh, okay. If it's not like making my bottom line better, but getting me coffee because I am out would be nice. Any free interns out there would like to apply for a
evidently I
zero
I
paid
stink.
job?
Oh wait,
getting me
one of
coffee?
them's working at Chick-fil-A today, so
Oh. So what's your second tip?
Tip number 2. If you hire interns, every quarter issue 2 or 3 awards to your interns that are public, with a nice plaque, and give it to them and address it on social media, because each of those gets 100 to a few thousand likes, showcases your company, and is a very cheap way to get a lot of positive eyeballs.
Yeah, I think my daughters prefer medals.
A plaque, maybe
Well,
a medal.
I'm
I'd
just saying,
prefer like a
spend
medal.
money. Spend $100
Yeah.
or $200 recognizing these people. Don't just give them a printout.
Oh, I was thinking like a tinfoil
Right.
medal, but yeah, that would be better. Absolutely. I love that. And then plus, then we're getting that younger demographic too.
Being able to have bragging rights online with all your BFFs and be like doing your TikTok moment as you're receiving the award. Hello. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Just saying. I got Gen Z under my roof. This is their thing.
Gen Z. I don't even know what the gens are anymore. I don't know what I know what I am.
Yeah,
I
we're
don't know what
not
my
talking
kids
that.
are.
If you're
Isn't it
not
like
a millennial,
Gen Y or
you're a boomer.
Oh, really?
Gen
Well,
X? You forgot about me.
We're all Gen
You left
X on
me
this
out.
call, but in the zeitgeist of popular culture.
He did
just
say he
zeitgeist?
invoked it. It wasn't even like he said it. He invoked it and he went wide.
Okay, boomer.
It
He
wasn't
went
Okay,
wide.
boomer.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, I hate when people say that to me.
Now you
makes
get
me
it.
so
Now you understand.
mad.
boomer. Not a boomer.
Yes, That happened. I was in a training. I was not doing the training, but I must have said something stupid. And some kid turns to me like, okay, boomer. And I'd never heard that term. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, Googling, what does that mean? Like, oh, that was a dig.
Yes. Yeah. Well, if it was a millennial, you could say, yeah, got it, Gen Z.
Oh, well, no, here's what I told my nephews. We were eating out, and I said something. They said, okay, boomer. And I said, oh, you're paying?
Oh.
Zing.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, we're so funny.
So Jill, no, I was, if it was a millennial, it'd be like, yes, got you, Gen Z, got you right here.
He was like a kid. I'd say they're all kids to me. They're like in their 20s.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Then you could you could definitely throw the millennial thing on them. Ah, so you must be a millennial. Especially if they're Gen Z, they don't. Oh, that's like the intergenerational friction, which is what I'm discovering. Gen Zs and
Really?
millennials just don't like each other.
I love like how we just
That's
like
a whole
categorize, and that's exactly how they are. No exceptions. Shortcut.
All right, who's going to be the scrum master here and get us a topic?
Hey, the whole purpose of us being here is the topic of innovation and some of the challenges and barriers that we are seeing to innovating in the workspace as well as innovating in training. And this is kind of a thorny space, and there's not a lot of clear answers. And in my research, I'm discovering that there's no one size fits all secret sauce or formula to make innovation work. And so this is going to be us kind of doing a stream of consciousness conversation around it. And I am going to defer to Jill, given that she is the vice president of innovation at her company. And I really want to hear where she's coming from on this.
Well, thanks for throwing that to me, Tim. So when I think of innovation, let's just like define it. It's such a broad term. Innovation. Okay, that's great. What does that mean? So I think we're always trying to innovate as human beings, and that's why we survive, right? We figure out a way. It's really hot outside. Well, let's invent air conditioning. Okay, cool. And I noticed that we get stuck in the status quo. We're always trying to maintain the way things are now, which is great. But if we're not thinking about better ways to coach, better ways to manage work, then you'll die you'll die. There, I said it. You'll die as a company. You'll die as a person in your soul, not having those opportunities. And it sounds great in theory, but there's, like you said, barriers. It's so hard, I think, for a lot of corporations to carve out time and money to do something new, to try something different, and to see if it's going to be better. Why do you think it is so hard? You would think there'd be a think tank in every organization, like have a VP of innovation or whatever, and then that person can't do it in isolation, though. That's what I'm finding. I have these ideas like, oh wait, I need my marketing person, and I need my guy from Brazil who's a developer we need to collaborate, but they have their day jobs. So that's a roadblock right there.
Wait, you're not allowed to use the tip I wanted to share.
Go ahead. The floor is yours, Ennis.
No, I'm joking with Jill.
I'm
just trying to, give her a hard time about.
My brain's a little slow.
Oh, really?
I need more caffeine.
No,
oh, really?
This is deep. No, I meant, oh, really? It's like you haven't had your coffee yet.
Oh,
not, oh, really? I'm a jerk. I just sound like one because I look like one.
A little. Is that what it is?
Well, I did wear the office T-shirt so people would know which person to hate.
So Jill, you hit on the point that I expressed with my office president, David, and it was a new twist on an old idea, which that's what, for me, where innovation comes in. It's not necessarily making something net new. It's just making something better or different. It's a different application of ideas, processes, of things to fit a different need. And that for me, this is what I'm wrestling with right now, which is the market discovery. Okay, where do we need to innovate? What sort of combinations of products and services should we be offering that the market is either expressing very directly to us as a firm, or indirectly through kind of these spur of the moment sighs of, man, we can't get this done fast enough, and don't know if it's a training issue, don't know if it's a technology issue. We're really not. We can't put our finger on where the challenge is.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, exactly. And we have these great ideas. All three of us are so super smart, but we don't know until, like you said, you actually have to do a little something to your customers. Does this satisfy your need?
To your customers, or through and with your customers.
Right.
Do things to your customers.
I can do things to my customers.
Inflict upon.
How did you feel about that? Not good, Jill. Not good. Please don't do that.
You might not have clients for very long if you're doing it to your customers.
It's all an experiment. It's an experiment.
Well, though, maybe that's that you're hitting. It's the partnership, right? So,
right.
Look,
absolutely.
We've got this idea. We'd like to work with you. This is going to be this. We're going to use the principles of empiricism. We are going to test things, and we're going to figure out what's working and what's not working. And if it's painful, then we're going to stop.
Right. Do you want to hear a story about when one of my innovative ideas for coaching got squelched?
No.
Ooh.
I'm
voting yes.
That
Okay,
means,
please,
okay,
Jill.
it's unanimous.
No, I just wanted to do a joke because I was talking about the invitation with someone yesterday, and I'm not going to disparage him. You'll have to watch the conversation when it comes out. He says he'll go and offer feedback, and if someone says no, he'll give it to him anyway because it's really important. And he had a good justification, so definitely check out the video. But I was just playing a joke with you.
So
Jill.
here's Ennis's, hey, would you like some feedback? Okay, here's everything you did wrong. Thank you. That's my favorite.
Name one thing I said that anyone's ever done wrong.
We only have a few minutes here, buddy. No, here's my story. Okay, now hear me now. I was a brand new.
Wait. I'm listening.
Thank you, Tim. Wow, I can tell you have your listening eyes on. Even Ennis does. Okay, so I was a brand new coach, and I went to my boss and I said, it would be cool if we made little videos, little scenarios with like a scrum team, but rather than using people, we use puppets. I'm a scrum master. And, show like maybe not great behavior and then how to solution it. And I wanted to use puppets, so it kind of took it outside and it was kind of funny. So his retort was, oh no, that's unprofessional. There's no way my senior VP will go for that. Squelch. Like I had this plan to start sewing. Now I don't even know how to sew. Squelched. That could have been a great idea. I didn't even give it a word.
No, but it is a great idea. And it's just like, scrum boards, Kanbans. It's to focus the objective on an inanimate object so there's no emotional attachment to it. So we talk through what's happening, and we're not talking.
See, I didn't have the words. A lot of it was on me. I didn't pitch it right. You're right. I should have said inanimate objects and that stuff that you just said.
You want some data?
Brain stuff.
Data. I love data.
When
whoa. No data, because data is useless without context. We need information.
Data is just the start.
Exactly.
Okay. You want to hear my wild ramblings in hot air?
Oh yeah, that's what we're here for, actually. I mean, because this is a conversation around innovation, and this is really an ideation session.
Wild ramblings and hot air. Yeah. I love that.
And maybe that should be the title of the show: Wild Ramblings and Hot Air around innovation. And it's so catchy, people would just be like, "What the heck are they talking about?"
Yes, please.
Well, remember whose turn it is to make the thumbnail, Tim.
Some syrup.
Yeah, I know. It's my responsibility.
All right, ramble away. You've got 1 minute.
1 minute? I'll talk really fast. When I first pitched note-taking guides.
When I first pitched the note-taking guides, every person I pitched it to had one of two objections. One, that's completely unprofessional. We wouldn't do that. And number two, that's a waste of time. We already have our way of doing it. And when I finally got a chance to implement note-taking guides, which, by the way, have over 20 years of backed up legitimate research that's cited from legitimate journals, the ratings went through the roof. So the research, the data, the information I'm offering is people think things are unprofessional all the time. What people actually care about isn't. When we actually go to people and we show them things, that's when we find out if it's unprofessional or not. Remember, stand-up comedians have a lot of really profane, unprofessional humor, and yet they're millionaires, and we're throwing our money at them.
So let's talk about that unprofessional, that term. I'm like, what does that mean? And what is the threat of that? So I created some training decks, and they had a lot of funny pictures, and that was another criticism, not from the people who were taking the training. They thought it was great.
I have strong opinions, so I'll tell you.
This? Please enlighten us.
I used to be a developer. I wasn't the best developer, but I was good enough.
That's why you're a coach.
I know, right? If I can't do, I got to teach, and if I can't teach, I coach.
Same.
I used to be a developer. Now, I wasn't that great of a developer, but I was pretty decent in the environments I worked. I had unlimited ability to do whatever I wanted as an absolute jerk. And that was actually a detriment to my personality. But the point is, I didn't have to be professional. I had skills. I had legitimate execution power, knowledge power, ability to do things that other people couldn't. In fact, you look at billionaires. They do whatever they want. They're absolute unprofessional jerks because they have absolute power. Now, take away your absolute power, your ability to execute. What do you have? How kind and agreeable you are. And anything that...
Is that what professionalism means,
well,
though? I don't understand. What does professional mean in this context?
When you're in a situation without power. Remember, people that say unprofessional aren't people with skills. They're people with... I don't skills is the wrong word. They're people with less tangible value. And so they see agreeableness as how they keep their job, because at any point, if you're unprofessional, you're gone. If you're less than agreeable, you're gone. If you have an absolute skill set that's irreplaceable, you can do whatever the bleep you want because you're not going anywhere. And so unprofessional is a proxy for that fear of not having legitimate value in a company. Yeah, that's my theory.
You're not wrong, and I've seen it demonstrated. And those companies will remain nameless and continue to remain nameless, and to a great extent, and this is where I hate to even tread here, where culture is really about what you allow people to get away with, and to your point. Ennis, and agreeableness is a especially with cross-functional teams, it's a critical skill. But again, going back to, hey, if you've got great skills and you can communicate effectively and you can be abrasive when it's appropriate because you figured out that window in order to spur conversation and get people thinking beyond whatever their context or their own fears or perceived limitations are, that can act as a catalyst. It can ignite innovation and ignite a conversation that spurs different thinking around problems and brings new ideas to the surface. But I think as well, you've got to have people like us who are able to say, look, I understand where you're coming from, but you're going from being abrasive and trying to get the right thing on the table to being a jerk. And I need you're at about an 11. I need you to dial
well, let me be a jerk here,
6.
Tim. I think we're talking about two different things.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If we're trying to talk about what is unprofessional and agreeability, it's different from the fact on whether we want to allow those people.
And we've got to have, we really do, this is the D&I moment, right? We really do have to have people from different backgrounds and experiences in order to make things work, because no one of us is smarter than all of us.
No doubt. But the question is, what is professionalism? And I think that's where we got to
I was just going to interject. That's my question. Is it different? Is it being different than the status quo? What is it?
It's totally a subjective measure. And I say, okay, so this is a unique thing about the special operations community. And for those who are new to this, I served for a number of years on board nuclear submarines, and I also supported special operations in combat as an intelligence analyst. One of the things that they did was they did not have military regulation haircuts. And when we were deployed, we were looking like the natives. which usually piss the general purpose forces off because it's like, well, why do they get to? Because they have a unique skill set and they are the best of the best. And oh, by the way, they do have a lot of creative friction going on in those units because they don't want to go after the wrong people. So professionalism and professional demeanor and decorum, honestly, it goes out the window. We're just a bunch of people trying to get a stinking job done and not get people.
Tim agrees with me. I like that.
Absolutely. So professionalism means, and I know it's subjective, but I want to put some words around it, that you are aligning with whatever that organization says. This is how you should look. This is how you should speak. This is how you should present material. Is that what professionalism is?
I think that's what organizations use when they say professionalism as a proxy for saying, I don't like what you're doing. And I think what Tim described as professionalism is ability to roll up your sleeves and take that beach and have no obstacles.
Yeah. I think it's something different, something innovative that's outside of, whoa, that your haircut. No. But is that really what should be focusing or on the outcome?
Yeah, let me go to the barber instead of storming that food beach.
Whoa. Yes, and there's so many different. Oh, this is good. Man, we're so smart. No, this is interesting because I always thought, well, what does that professionalism mean? Give me the guide, Senior VP. Tell me what is and what isn't. As soon as he does that, though, yoink, our options for something better are automatically closed.
Yeah, and I think it should be more guardrails around. Hey, this is how we want to present ourselves publicly as an organization. We do want to be seen as a little bit brash and a little bit out there and a little bit edgy, but keep in mind that in order for us to attract the right type of talent, we can't just be bombastic and dropping the F-bomb every single time we do a TikTok video or we post a comment on LinkedIn or whatever it is that we want to define as edgy. There is
guardrails. I like
guardrails. It's the sandbox.
I don't agree at all.
Let's go back to kindergarten.
You don't agree that there should be guardrails, or what guardrails mean?
When I see people being their honest selves, dropping off F-bombs, having really brash conversations with right and wrong, respectfully, I'm like, that's awesome. I want to work there. When I see people being very polished, very pristine, and having specific guardrails, I'm like, I don't want to work there. So I think what we should do is if someone offends you at work, someone is unprofessional, instead of correcting that behavior, you should ask yourself, is it possible that I could tolerate that behavior because it doesn't really matter? And if I do, is the world a better place before acting? And I think so often people they want to define the guardrails and influence the guardrails. I'm like, dude, I don't want to work in a place like that. I want to work in a place where I can be me, and I'm not going to try to hurt people's feelings. But I also don't want to have to use spaces versus tabs.
Classic.
Oh, you bring up a really good point, and I've got somebody who is a mentor and a friend who has a habit of lobbing hand grenades on social media.
Is it Bob?
No, it's not Bob. I'm gonna leave him nameless because
I would have
really
bleeped it out
him
if you would have said the person.
Maybe I'll get him on the show. So
this is their address and their phone number.
Exactly. You can find them. They have their own personal website, by the way, like me. But I work with him, and I appreciate the way he expresses ideas, and even sometimes does go out of his way to pick a fight. And I think he's deeply misunderstood because I've had those conversations around, what is it that's motivating you to co-author books and create this content and really drive a change in a space that traditionally, and please forgive me if you're a diehard agilist who loves frameworks and whatnot. If we're not evolving the way that we work and adapting to emergence of behavior, emergence of practice, and you can fill in the blank, we're doing ourselves a disservice because we've gotten so tribal. And I know, and I am going to name drop on this. Dave Snowden's The Rewilding of Agile is brilliant because he takes to task what the outside world, who is looking in at Agilists, going, you guys are a bunch of jokes. You know, you're not doing anything when you start arguing about Scrum being superior to fill in the blank. You know, it's this constant infighting, but it goes back to your point, Ennis. He and I agree to disagree on a lot of things. I wouldn't approach, posting on social media a certain way, but he does. And I said, look, dude, sometimes you're doing the vinegar thing instead of the honey thing. You can attract more people to your point of view. You just need to maybe adjust the way that you approach things, and he took it. And, there's been I've seen some difference over the last couple of years. It doesn't change who he is or how he presents. And, to your point, Ennis, I'm a big believer that there's an appropriate time and place to be profane. And I say this as a retired sailor. And if anybody knows about sailors, we're good at two things: cursing and drinking.
Well, there was a third thing, but we're not allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Bad.
Again, I want to stay on YouTube.
And Jill's like, what am I talking about?
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, if we're going to talk about profanity, here's an anecdote. So when I was at my other job before, travel around the world and do trainings, and it was where you were at, I was told, and it was interesting. Like if I was doing a bit in certain locations, the guidance was they do not like swears. So just mind your P's and Q's here. But then I went and did a training in Boston, and it was so different. Like the people came in like F-bomb, F. I'm like, okay, cool. And then just kind of reading the room and knowing what is acceptable, at least in that context. I was only there for a couple of days. I wasn't there as a full-time employee where they'd have to, we'd all sort of align. But knowing the people.
Well, when you were there, did you take a list and just ask which words you could say? Can I say this word? Can I say this word? And just say them out loud? It's like, well, but what about if I use these two together?
I do a poll.
How about Micros?
I do a poll, No, it was really interesting. Yeah. And the reason I got that advice is because the person I was working with made the mistake of using the wrong words in the wrong places and got a lot of backlash. So lesson learned.
Oh yeah. That's like Gary Vaynerchuk, right? I mean, every third word.
Wait, the interesting thing, Tim, though, is you bring up Gary, and we have Jill's experience. Gary wouldn't change for the different audiences because he has power. Jill had to change because
I'm a woman.
Yeah. And that's a hard spot for me because, coming from a background and, with the military, I've seen the sea change, and I say that quite literally, of how the military has changed a lot of things that it's like, well, it was working well. Why are you stopping this? I mean, and this is the thing. I like what Bill Gove said, and Bill Gove is the father of professional speaking, and he said, you need to be responsible to your audience. You don't need to be responsible for your audience. So, at the end of the day, there are going to be certain things that are offensive to certain people. Grow up, pull up your pants, and get on with your life, because we can't afford to be offended by every errant word spoken. We have to be mindful that everybody comes from a different walk of life, and if we're going to work together and we're going to create great things and experiences, we got to get over ourselves and accept that, hey, you know what, Ennis, you like to drop the F-bomb, cool for you, dude.
Well,
friendship.
I've got teenage daughters. I want my daughters to, my wife wants my daughters not to be dropping the F-bomb, so I tailor my language accordingly.
To circle back to Ennis, and I think you're right. Like, if you don't have the power, you have to conform and be professional. I mean, you just do, or you get fired and you don't have a job and you can't feed yourself.
And maybe that's a problem.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think it
Wah,
is.
wah. You can't be your
and
true
that's
self.
and maybe that may be another challenge as well, which is okay, being true and authentic, and understanding that if you're doing that, then there's probably a smaller group of people that you're going to be really at home and comfortable with, and you better find that tribe. And oh, by the way, that tribe better be able to support itself.
Yeah. It all comes down to money.
Yeah,
You gotta survive.
I mean, it's the lifeblood of business.
That's true. Like I was thinking, well, if I was a bazillionaire, would my behavior be different? Absolutely.
See, nah,
Yes, it would. Let me finish.
Okay. I'm saying for myself,
I wouldn't be a
Jill,
different person, but I would be thinking way outside the bun, trying these new things because I have that safety net where I would be a lot more adventurous, I guess, as far as the things I want to try, implement, and experiment with. Where here I have a tighter box because I have to conform, at least to a certain extent, to make sure that the company makes money. We're a small company. We don't have huge, deep pockets. So I guess when I say behavior, I wouldn't become this insane. Well, maybe I would be insane. I don't know. I think a lot of billionaires go insane. I'd be going to space just because I can. I don't know. Maybe I would. Awkward silence.
Ennis, I know.
Oh,
I know you've got some thoughts on
I
this.
do have something to say, actually.
No.
I bet all of your bazillion dollars that if you were a bazillionaire, your confidence would go through the roof. And what I've noticed, if you look at new employees, the confident ones get promoted, not the confident ones.
Mm-hmm.
And having financial security and the ability to do whatever you want gives you that confidence. And you know what the number, I don't have the research paper, but I read it. I'm not making this up. The number one predictor is of it being a successful CEO. Any guesses?
Confidence.
Close. Tim?
Charisma.
Close. If on your very first project, at your very first job, you were put on a project that was going to be successful and giving a mentor to make sure it didn't fail, giving you the absolute confidence in your abilities and skills.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good tidbit.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, and I have to agree. Given that I have and can had in the past many mentors who helped me be marginally successful. If mediocrity is a measure of success,
I think it is to an extent. That's funny.
Well, look at our conversation. Each one of us, we're second guessing what we're saying to a certain extent. You can tell each of us is hesitating a bit with what we're saying because we have a lack of confidence. Imagine how we would be able to proceed with 100% confidence. I would get shot because, I'm already bad, but just imagine one level more of confidence, how much better we would all be. And I think that's what the money gives you with that power.
Potentially.
Yeah.
And better is subjective too. Like if I'm coming, it's so like confidence is like, I'm right. I know everything, but it's also listening and having an interactive conversation. So maybe that's confidence, intelligence, and social emotional intelligence all wrapped together. Makes a perfect.
Oh, that's a different topic. I hate EQ, but I'm not going to change the subject.
Yeah, we know. We can tell.
We're trying to talk around professionalism and innovation and how the two interact.
You can't just take just confidence. It's team building, and I don't know everything. Even if I was a bazillionaire, like you said, having good mentors, and then reaching out because I don't want to do this anymore. I want to hire someone who does this, but I want to work with that person and leverage their abilities, even if they're not confident. But you're right, as far as leadership goes, that's a big component.
Yeah, and you're so, and I'm going to segue just a little bit. One of the things that I know in the personal development industry is huge is having mastermind communities. People with very disparate experiences coming together, and mastermind. There's plenty of books on it, so you can Google it, and but it's bringing like-minded folks who are focused and really serious about being successful in their given space and saying, look, we're going to work together and we're going to figure out how to generate opportunities. Ooh, that's kind of sounds like a bit of innovation there.
Absolutely.
And it becomes an incubator. In fact, so I, what is his name? O'Reilly. No, but he wrote Unlearn most recently, I think. But he's created a venture capital, a crowdsourced venture capital organization called Nobody Studios. They're funding startups with run-of-the-mill folks, and they're saying, look, you know what, we're going to level the playing field for the Kleiner Perkins and the Silicon Valley VCs, and we're just going to pool our money together, and we're going to, a bunch of us who don't have any recognition, to make sure some of the best ideas get to market. And if it doesn't work, we're going to kill it, and we're not going to get drug into sunk cost fallacy. And I think it's brilliant because Barry O'Reilly, Google him, good thinker. But it goes back to it does go back to this whole thing, which is, if you pull enough people together who are really bright and talented and smart, I think you can generate the type of environment where people, it builds self-confidence. It bolsters the effectiveness. But to your point, and this is where I'm going with this, Ennis, you got to have some more senior folks who already have a track record of success being a part of it to identify those blind spots and those places where it's like, you can go down this road, and I'm going to tell you what my experience was. But if you want to learn and learn the hard way, here's what you can expect. Fair enough.
Yeah, and just to pull a thread on that, like having different perspectives. And I don't know who said it. I don't have the names, but allegedly somebody once said, if you hire someone exactly like yourself, one of you is redundant. Does anyone know who said that? I don't know. Maybe I just made it up.
Put it in the comments below. That would be perfect.
I think it's so true, because we're so, as a human species, we try to get people who are just like us, but it's that diversity, whatever that means to you, I think is so important. And then listening to those different ideas. I never thought of puppets. Let's explore this a little bit before I just trash it, or whatever the different ideas are. And like, to your point, we all have come from different backgrounds. I think I love that. Like, I used to be a school teacher. I have this weird things that I have ideas on. You were in the military, and this was a developer, and to have those different perspectives and then build on those together could be magical.
Could be magical.
Could be. Or you could just be fighting all the time. I don't know.
I'm going to steal Tim's hat. I'm going to steal Tim's hat for a second. We have an absolute time box here because we do have to run. I think it'd be wise if we wrap up on our last comment so we get some nice pithy things for the thumbnails.
I like it.
Yes, let's do that. So I got to open up my training here in like 2 minutes. All right, so innovation doesn't have to be a giant thing. It can be a small little idea, just the Kaizen approach. I'm really into that lately. Tiny little things that make your individual work easier, better, faster, stronger. What was that from $6 Million Man?
Innovation can and should be something that does exist outside of your own predetermined comfort zone. And it can be and should be a discussion, a conversation with a lot of different people from different backgrounds to figure out what might work. And I will give Jill the credit for this. Do a series of small, safe to fail experiences to figure out what the market is interested in. And oh, by the way, if you've got some potential clients or customers in mind, talk to them, see what they think.
Most successful companies are printing money. They have so much cash, they don't know what to do with it. And let me tell you what, if you can't take some of that cash and give it to your most passionate people and let them run with an idea, you're just burning money in the back.
Lovely. Boom. Perfect.